Hello YouTube, my name is Lloyd and today I want to discuss veganism or make another attempt at putting my ideas about veganism down on video. I've made lots, trust me, it's not been easy. I've been working it out with some other people that I've been trying to discuss it with, and I think the best angle to start off with is that veganism is at odds with evolution. As first. Possibly that veganism isn't a thing that happens anyway. And what are the motives behind perceiving yourself as a vegan, as the third thing. Right, so veganism at odds with evolution. Evolution makes predators in all environments. There have always been predators, they always exist, they always come to exist when there's too many animals that can be preyed upon. A predator arises that eats them. Lake Victoria, there were some cygnets. One of the cygnets turned into a predator, so there would be a predator there. What else? Trilobites. They were difficult to prey upon, and then a trilobite evolved into something that ate trilobites. Yeah, I mean, by my theory and my interpretation of evolution, if the dodo was left alone and humans never got to it, or some other predator never got to it, eventually there would be some dodos that ate the remains of the other dodos. Maybe they started, those ones who were better at eating the remains started to fight over them, developed the capacity to fight each other better. Maybe claws, maybe something sharp on their beak, don't know. Then from fighting over them, develop the skills and capacity, or evolve the skills and the capacity to then actually kill the other dodos. And the other dodos, of course, had no resistance to being attacked, didn't know what a predator was, had no fear, had no lookout skills even, had lost the ability to fly because there was no predator to make it necessary for them to fly. And these predator ones would go up to the dodos, attack them, kill them, eat them, and eventually, slowly over millions of years, or eventually as slowly as the rest of the process, the herbivore dodos would learn to defend them, or learn to look out for the ones who are predating upon them, and they would be separate species. That's part of the process that I would envisage would be inevitable given facts about evolution, given the truth of selective breeding. That's just part of how the process works. Now, a small percentage of our population are psychopaths. Having had a run-in with somebody that I perceived to be a psychopath, certainly had a predation mentality, treated people like a resource to be used. It was clear that when you're unaware of the cruelty that is inevitable in the world, not due to evolution, but you know, evolution is a fact of the world that illustrates the inevitable cruelty. Yeah, maybe that's not a laughing matter. Yes, when you become aware of it, then you can look out for them in the way that an elk looks out for predators that died with the last ice age, for example, or a gazelle looks out for lions that do still exist, or you know, that capacity to look out for and protect against those that would abuse, take advantage of, utilize naivety. I say naivety, I don't know why I decided to say naivete. Maybe it's because it's a video and I thought it would look intelligent. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Yes, so that's an inherent fact of evolution, cruelty. Okay, that contradicts the vegan perspective that cruelty can be mitigated by them not eating meat. No, cruelty just is. Cruelty is a part of evolution. we haven't got to the point where we can not be subject to evolution. There may be a portion of our society that is developing the capacity to farm the other part. Who knows? I mean, H.G. Wells suggested that there would be two branches of humanity in the future that might eat. One of them might eat the other in the distant future. That's in the book the Time Machine. He wrote about that possibility. That is part of the process of evolution, and we are subject to it. And we are delusional if we think we are not. So being a vegan requires you to have that delusional perspective in relation to how cruelty works and what your own interests are. Yes, it isn't something that happens anyway. The meat industry is necessary to provide sufficient fertilizers to fertilize the vegetables that everyone eats. There isn't a version of the ecology or the economy or the world where enough food is being produced, enough nitrogen is being replenished into soil, where the meat industry doesn't exist to do that. It has to happen. So you're not really a vegan anyway, irrespective of the insects that are killed by the transport devices, the roads that destroyed habitats, your house that is somewhere where an animal used to live and somewhere where an animal would live if you weren't living there. All the animals that die of starvation because there isn't enough food that you're eating. I mean, the cruelty that you do to animals, massive and inevitable. And you should look into Jainism to get a full understanding of how cruelty might be conceptualized more fully. Veganism doesn't even touch it as a conceptualization of cruelty. I don't agree with Jainism. It's not a way. Well, you'd have to agree with their concept of karma, and I don't. So anyway, so I'm not advocating Jainism. I'm just saying that it's a better system than veganism. Also, veganism is worn by people who worn as a identity by people who can then justify poor ethical actions. So I'm a vegan, I'm a good person. It's a way of perceiving yourself as a good person, and then thinking of yourself as a good person, you then feel more justified to behave in a unreasonable manner towards people. That happens a lot. It's a very... I mean, these people might be seen as sort of borderline personality disorder types, can utilize the identity of veganism to justify their abusive behavior. Identifying with ideas in such a way is fundamentally bad. I've done a video on identity and how it destroys your capacity to perceive fully. So veganism as an act is a thing that someone is identifying with as when they are acting upon it. So that identity is a debilitation on their perception of reality. That's part of the video on identity. Maybe you'd have to look it up, or I might link it in the low bar. What else was there? So it doesn't happen, and what are the motivations behind it? Yeah, and the world cannot be somewhere that is based on kindness because evolution exists in it. Sorry. It would be nice. I mean, I was myself very left-wing, and I was a vegetarian for a very long time, and I would have liked to have had a world where it was based on kindness and decency and people treating each other well. But evolution exists, I had a run-in with a psychopath, and it became clear that they're never going to perceive it that way, and there's a niche within our society in which they thrive. So yeah, not going to happen. Sorry. I wanted it to happen as much as anybody, even as much as Simon Amstel probably, but it's a far healthier perspective on reality to perceive that it can't, and it doesn't. And you can engage with the truth of reality and have a stronger ethical stance of your own when you are perceiving as much of the truth as you can, rather than attempting to perceive a kindness into reality that can't be there. So when you're trying to place a ideal of the future where it is based upon kindness, a future that cannot happen, your ability to relate to and engage with the reality that is now is deformed and perverted. Anyway, you're free to argue. Vegans are famous for their arguing. But yeah, you're free to discuss it. That's my stance. It's why I'm not a vegetarian anymore. And it's why I think you shouldn't be a vegan anymore if you are a vegan. Yeah, don't be delusional. Thank you and goodbye.